Look here, I'm just not sure when it comes to the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and honestly, you would think since my last proper iPhone I was using was the iPhone XS Max, which you can obviously watch the review in the cards above and the link in the description below. And of course, yes, this is obviously a good phone, but I have more doubts using it so far compared to any phone at any price point so far in 2020. So yeah, let's get into it, man. This is my first impressions of the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Let's go. Hi, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Level Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. First has got to be the design and the build, and I really feel like this more boxy, old school design callback to the iPhone 4S is nostalgically a great look in terms of how much we all love that design. But honestly, I feel it does not suit the handling of the size of this phone. The iPhone 12 Pro Max feels way bigger than it should for a normal solid state, non-moving part smartphone at this time. And I thought, you know what, the weight was going to be the problem. And yes, come on, man, it's a heavy phone, especially with a case and the screen protector on there. But my main concern is the width and the aspect ratio of the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Handling it with the width makes it so far very tiring, and that's something I seriously wasn't expecting at all. So yeah, I wish them with a slightly more narrow aspect ratio and width, because I've handled phones that are honestly technically bigger than this when it comes to the display sizes, but because of the lack of the curves on here and the, you know, more wider aspect ratio, it's really tiring handling and using this device. Again, let's look at the colorway and the finish. Although the Pacific blue isn't like a standout blue color, I love the matte finish at the back. And like I've always said, man, and I'm gonna keep saying it, if it ain't matte, I don't want it. This matte finish, you are not gonna get any fingerprints at the back at all. And I might even just go on record right now and probably say this is the best and probably my favorite matte finish I felt. Now the story is not the same when it comes to the frame of the phone. Yet again, another shocker for me is, although I was expecting the stainless steel frame to feel really premium, not only does it catch fingerprints like crazy, but for me, it just doesn't feel as premium and nice to the touch as I thought it would. Like I legit can't put my finger on why that is, but I'm really just not liking the grip and the feel of it. And although the rounded corners at the bottom really help some way of comfort, overall, I have to probably say for this size, this is probably one of the most uncomfortable phones I've held and used in quite a long time. And this part here, yeah, I didn't even want to mention it because it honestly just feels like a reach, but I'm just going to keep it straight and just keep it 100. My volume down button doesn't feel as good as the volume up button, and I'm probably just going to put this down to quality control and maybe just having an unlucky unit. The silent key though, now that's awesome as well, and it's legit, and it's one of the things where I just wish more phones were using it, so I have to give them a well done here. It's trademark Apple. The power button also, it lands perfectly on the thumb and it's a good size, and it's got a nice tactile feel that gives you confidence. Now also, when it comes to actually the camera bump, yes, it's big, no doubt, it rocks on the table, but I actually really like the look of it. I feel it's kind of elegant in its own way, and honestly, the whole back design of the iPhone 12 Pro Max is my favorite part of this phone, no doubt. Unfortunately though, yes, I mean unfortunately, you still get a lightning port at the bottom, which I've said it in my unboxing, it should have been changed to a USB Type-C port. Now overall, when it comes to this new but old school design, it does not, for me personally, so far suit the size of this phone. And by the time you put a screen protector and a case on there, it does become a bit more comfortable, but then the weight increases, and also then the width increases even more, meaning you kind of feel like you want to take it off, and if you take it off, you feel like you're back at square one. Honestly, it feels confusing how this phone is built, and it's just not really working for me at the minute. So now, front and center, when it comes to the display, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is rocking what Apple calls their Super Retina XDR OLED display with a 1200 nit max brightness when it comes to HDR content and 800 nits of peak brightness in normal viewing situation, with a bigger 6.7-inch display size with a resolution of 2078 by 1284. Let me list and say my favorite things about this display. And firstly, it's got to be the overall brightness and the brightness management in auto mode, which is the best I've seen on a phone in a long time, and definitely has to do with the Face ID sensors that's at the top when it comes to the notch, which seems to really know how to auto adjust brightness really well. The panel brightness is excellent. The color accuracy, very good. The touch response is class leading with some of the best haptic feedback you're going to get on any smartphone at any price point, which really aids in having one of the best typing experiences that you're going to get on a smartphone with that flat display. It's a flat display as well, which is a big favorite of mine. So look, credit where credit is due. When it comes to these things about the display, it's really good. But honestly, the things I do not like really stick out to me way more than the good. And firstly, the notch. Yes, I understand it's functional because of the Face ID sensors, which is another point of contention by itself that honestly deserves its own video, but it just takes up way too much space. The panel itself lacks any form of real vibrancy and punch. It's color accurate, but it's not vibrant, it's not punchy in any way, and there's no options to change it in the settings, which is obviously typical Apple. Next one, and this one right here, the lack of 120 Hertz is a straight up miss and noticeable to me. Honestly, look, don't get me wrong. This is not a jarring 60 Hz experience like cheaper budget smartphones, because the smooth animations and the tight speeds of the phone with the OS and the operating system and the software makes a difference to help it feel like honestly the best 60 Hz experience I've ever used. But hear what I just said. How strange is it for you to hear that at this price, the best accolade I can give it in 2020 and going beyond is the best 60 Hz experience? And honestly, just having to even say that out loud for this phone is just not good enough for me. And honestly, my last petty gripe is even with the high resolution and screen size, this is still technically not a true quad high definition display. And this is not based on the fact that it has a 1284p display instead of a 1440p display. It's the pixel count of the display being at 3.6 megapixels. Look, let me fire some quick maths at you, yeah? The Galaxy S7 Edge from a couple of years ago has a 16:9 aspect ratio display with a resolution of 2560 by 1440p resolution, which when it comes to the display panel pixel count, it works out to be 3.68 megapixels. The S20 Plus from this year has a 20:9 aspect ratio with a 3200 by 1440p resolution panel, which works out to be what? 4.6 megapixels on the display panel. So yeah, 3.56 megapixels on the iPhone 12 Pro Max is almost close enough to be a quad high definition display, but honestly, technically, it just isn't. And sorry if it feels like I'm reaching out, but I gotta call it as it is because it kind of bugs me low key. But you know what? Even that, let me just give it some credits and accolades, yeah? When it comes to the YouTube app, at least when watching videos, it does show resolutions above 1080p at 1440p and 2160p 4K UHD, but there's still no picture-in-picture mode even when you have a YouTube premium account, which from what I've been told and I found out, this is down to Google. So not Apple's fault. Google, fix this, please. And you know what? Let me come back to Face ID. Honestly, Apple did not read the room here at all. I said this from day one from my iPhone 10 review 3 years ago and back that Face ID as the main biometric unlock is not a good look. And now in 2020 with masks and this pandemic, it's an even worse experience. Look, I'm gonna save most of this for my full review, but in short, Face ID is pretty much only good when you're indoors. And outdoors, when you have to wear a mask, honestly, it's a complete waste of time. So all I'm gonna say this, yeah, be ready to punch in your passcode in what feels like 100% of the time. But when it comes to the specs and the performance at the beating heart, although I've only been using the 12 Pro Max for about 3 days as of this recording, I can easily say when it comes to the performance, it's probably gonna be the best you're gonna get on a smartphone right now, no doubt. It's rocking the new A14 Bionic chip, which is the first chip to use a 5nm manufacturing process, which obviously supports 5G as well. Finally, a base storage of 128 gigabytes. And yeah, my favorite part, more RAM, 6 gigabytes of RAM that's in here. Now look, iOS doesn't give you some crazy power features on the iPhone that really taxes the specs when it comes to the phone. But again, with specs like this and performance like this, Apple's optimization, and it's something that you're really looking at when it comes to like long-term system version updates, more than 5 years or up to 5 years even when it comes to iOS updates. So that's really going to be the main benefits here. And although there's no true multitasking when it comes to the software on iOS, which again is such a big miss when it comes to the display of the size of this phone, the fact that there's more RAM means when it comes to task switching or app switching, this is going to be the best, and so far the best I've experienced on any iPhone in a very long time. So there's pretty much little to no app reloading, which is definitely a good look. Now look, Apple Silicon is powerful and there's way more to the A14 platform, so rest assured this is the best in the game right now. Now when it comes to the software software to no one's surprise, with a new iPhone each year comes a new version of iOS, which this time is iOS 14. And although this is my first time using iOS 14, I'm sure you've seen plenty of videos on it. By principle though, it feels like iOS through and through since my iPhone XS Max, so that's not really anything of a surprise. But you do have, obviously, App Library, which is effectively Apple's version of the app drawer. Finally, you can add custom widgets onto the home screen. So yeah, it looks like, you know, I'm gonna have to spend some time to really dig into it and make it my own, because it seems like custom icons through Siri shortcuts is the craze of the thing right now. But yeah, it's fast, it's responsive, fluid, and always with things like native apps and exclusive features to iOS such as iMessage, FaceTime, and AirDrop. This is what people love about iOS. I did a video reaction on iOS 14 when it was first announced back at WWDC 2020, and also a video on my thoughts on iOS as the Goldilocks OS, which I'll link in the cards above and also in the description below. So yeah, definitely give those a watch. Now, the battery capacity is smaller at 3,687 milliamps versus the 3,969 on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. But although I never got to use the 11 Pro Max versus the iPhone XS Max, this is such a big improvement. And honestly, if I keep getting this level of battery performance that I've been getting over the past 3 days next to the Z Fold 2 and probably ahead of it, this might be the best battery experience I've experienced so far on a smartphone in 2020. So straight up, if you wanted a new iPhone and battery was your main concern and the main selling point to pull you through, so far, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is the truth. But when it comes to the charging experience, it supports slightly faster 20-watt charging versus the 18 from before on the cable. And I didn't purchase it yet, but maybe I will. But it seems like the craze of everything is the new MagSafe wireless charging, which enables up to 15-watt wireless charging, which is a big improvement from before, but if you're using the correct power delivery fast charging brick. But yeah, there comes my biggest issue. And if you've been following the channel, you know I've done about 2 videos on this issue and my thoughts on the no charging brick that comes in there, especially for a phone that is over £1,000 on their Pro model. I know it's kind of strange even saying this, because like I said in my unboxing, I actually really like the slimmer box, and the longer term I feel that, yeah, I do kind of agree with the whole save the environment movement that Apple's talking about. But do that with the non-Pro devices, not the Pro devices at this stage, and keep the same energy with the iPad range as well, and supply the Pro models with a 20-watt charger. So yes, fine, the price of the USB Type-C 20-watt charger direct from Apple is cheaper, but it's something that should have been included. Now, the camera. And this is the main reason why I got the iPhone 12 Pro Max, because if you follow me on Twitter, which if you don't, you should, I'm very active on there, at Lover of Tech BA, shameless plug. This time round, I actually really wanted the normal iPhone 12 Pro, which I was hoping was gonna have the same camera features on a hardware level as the Max, but it looks like the bigger size allowed Apple to put a larger main sensor in the main wide camera, with what Apple is saying is 47% larger. It's also backed up with a larger f1.6 aperture at 12 megapixels resolution, and then new sensor shift stabilization, which is pretty much near enough the same in-body image stabilization IBIS technology that you find in mirrorless cameras on the prosumer level, like my Fuji X-T4 that I'm recording this video on. So knowing that I do a lot of camera tests and comparisons on the channel, I had to see if this was really a difference maker and a real hardware upgrade this time for Apple. You also have the new 2.5x optical zoom at 12 megapixels with f2.2 aperture with OIS, which goes up to ×12 digital zoom now, and a similar or near enough same 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens with 120-degree field of view. And when it comes to the selfie camera, in there at the top, you are working with 12 megapixels at f2.2. But honestly, as someone that is a video person, I'm ready to put this through an ultimate camera test. So make sure you check this out on the channel, because the iPhone 12 Pro Max next to the 11 Pro series is one of the only few smartphones that can allow you a complete 4K 60 recording experience on all the cameras. We're talking about including the ultra wide, the zoom, and the selfie. And now Apple are boasting 10-bit color with Dolby Vision HDR. I'm definitely eager to test this out, so stay tuned. But yeah, so far with the few pictures I've taken, it looks kind of good, and the portrait mode does look like it's doing really well, and this might be down to the addition of the new LiDAR scanner, but testing needs to be done so far to see if the camera is really worth it and a step up from the other iPhone 12 models. So yeah, let me wrap this up. I know for a first impressions video, I've had a lot to say, but man, look, I had to go in, and trust me, there is still gonna be even more to say when the full review drops after testing this phone. But you lot, man, I can't lie, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a lot to prove to me to change my mind, and the more mixed feeling I have towards it right now, and whether it can or it can't is where honestly I am not sure. So yeah, those are my first impressions on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.